In this video, I'm going to show you how to replace the engine water pump on your Nissan Altima. Remove the three 5mm hex heads on the engine cover. Pull the cover up, put that out of the way. Remove the negative battery cable. Using a 10mm, put that down to the side. Remove the cap for the radiator. This will make our coolant drain faster when we open the drain on the bottom. Remove the connector off of the alternator. There's a little push tab right here. Push that in, pull up. This is a 13mm nut. Pull that back. I'm going to just put this nut back on the post. Using a 10mm, we're going to remove this ground strap. I'm also going to put this little plastic clip pulled right out of the bracket for me. I'm going to put this bolt right back where it was. And also remove this plastic clip. There's two little pinch clips on the bottom. You can kind of reach under, push on it, and pull it up. Flop this to the side. Remove the 5 21mm lug nuts. Remove the wheel. We're going to remove the 5 clips off of this side splash shield. There's usually one right here. It's missing on this car. Remove the shield. Using a 14mm wrench, we're going to go on the idler pulley bolt, and we're going to pull back to release the tension off the belt, and we're going to pull the belt off of one of our pulleys. We're going to remove the engine splash shield. Using a pair of clip pliers, we're going to go around, take out all the clips. Using a flathead screwdriver, we're going to remove this cap and start to drain the coolant. Before you pull this cap out completely, make sure you have a drain bucket under to catch the coolant. All right. Remove the 10mm off the coolant reservoir. Pull this accessory hose out of the little bracket on it. And we're going to lift straight up and put this to the side. Take the belt off the alternator pulley and put that to the side. There's two 14mm holding the alternator in. We're going to remove those. Once that's out, we can remove the alternator. We're going to remove the three 12mm bolts off of the water pump. The third bolt is on the bottom, on the front side. Remove the water pump. Make sure you have a little bucket or a towel or something under this. It will leak coolant when you pull it off. Remove that from the car. Using a light abrasive or a razor blade, clean the surface where the water pump is going to sit. If you use a razor blade on this surface, you want to be very careful not to scrape it or make a gouge. This is a sealing surface that we're going to put a gasket on. I'm going to go through and dry up this little well, make sure there's no coolant sitting in there. It's going to affect my gasket when it goes on. You can use a bit of parts cleaner on your rag as well and clean up the mating surface. Install the gasket onto the pump. I'm going to put a bolt through to kind of help me hold the gasket on there as it goes in. You can put two in there to make sure it doesn't rotate on the pump. Line your bolts up with the holes and start them by hand. Once you have two of them in there, just double check and make sure your gasket is still on and in the right place. Then go ahead and install the third bolt by hand as well. I'm going to go around and tighten down all of my bolts. Just get them kind of snug and we'll torque them after. Using a 12mm socket on a torque wrench, we're going to torque these bolts to 85 inch-pounds. If you can't get a torque wrench in there, do the best you can. Install the alternator. I'm going to put the top bolt in first just to hold the alternator for me. And go down and install the bottom one. Get that started by hand. Snug it down. Do the same thing on the top. Torque the top bolt to 21 foot-pounds. Torque the bottom bolt to 35 foot-pounds. We're going to put the coolant reservoir back on its little bracket. This V is going to sit right in that bracket. Install the 10mm bolt. Snug it down. This just popped off, just putting it back on. Install the belt onto the alternator pulley. I'm going to grab this harness, plug in the alternator, push until you hear a click. If you don't hear a click, just give it a pull back and make sure it's securely on there. I'm going to take this 13mm nut back off. Pull the boot back on this. There's these grooves that are going to sit inside of these depressions. Line those up. And then install the nut. Snug it down. Torque it to 8 foot-pounds. If you don't have a torque wrench, do the best you can. Pull the boot back over. Install this harness clip back into the bracket. Remove the little 10mm screw that was holding our ground strap. I just put it back in there to hold it there. Grab the harness, install the plastic clip into the bracket. and then install the bolts. Snug it down. We're going to reinstall our serpentine belt. Make sure the belt is already lined up on all of the other pulleys. We're going to pull back on the idler and reinstall it on the power steering pump pulley. Just pushing the belt around and getting it onto that pulley. Once you feel like you have it secured, go around and feel all the pulleys. Make sure it's sitting in the grooves and on the faces of the smooth ones. Install the side splash shield. Install your clips. And then there should be one more right here, but ours is missing. Reinstall the plug in the bottom of the radiator. Snug it down. Reinstall the splash shield. Put all your clips back in. There is supposed to be a clip right here and right here, but our car is missing them. Fill your radiator with coolant. It's a good sign if it's glugging. That means it's an airtight system and that it's not leaking out of somewhere. If it just goes straight down the drain, I would stop pouring because you're going to have a puddle somewhere. Once you have enough coolant sitting in the reservoir and it stops bubbling up, go ahead and start your car. Let it warm up to operating temp. Wait for all of the bubbles to stop coming out. If you need to add more coolant, go ahead and do that. Once it's done bleeding, you can grab a hose and push it to push a little bit of coolant back into here, which will allow it to not necessarily leak when you take it out. Take your excess coolant and put it into your overflow to the max level. If you need to add more, do that now. Put the cap back on. Remove the adapter from the radiator and install the cap. Install the engine cover. Tighten down your bolts. Install the negative battery cable. Snug it down. Install the wheel back on the car. Put on your 5 lug nuts. Snug them down. Torque your lug nuts in a star pattern to 100 foot-pounds.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.